and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got another podcast episode, if you will, with a guest of mine here, Nick. He runs a YouTube channel with over 1.5 thousand subscribers. So Nick, thank you for coming on the show. And what I will say is, I first came across your channel actually looking up, like getting my Austrian citizenship, getting my Serbian citizenship, and then I looked up getting my Hungarian citizenship. And I came across some of your videos where you sort of did some informational videos on how you can get it through citizenship by descent, which I believe is the method you're going through. Why are you seeking to get Hungarian citizenship?
I'm interested in Hungarian citizenship first and foremost. My roots. So for me, my roots are very important to me. Secondly, I am a big fan of diversification. I feel me being an American, I think we'll touch on this later, a Jamaican citizen, a Jamaican passport, while nice, isn't a really strong travel document. So me getting this Hungarian passport would actually give me the option to, eventually renounce my U.S. citizenship one day, which is actually my ultimate goal.
And are you looking to renounce because you don't see it's the strongest passport in the world? Is it because the US cut their tax treaty with Hungary, so you wouldn't want to do the double payment or what have you? Why are you looking to renounce? It's very popular recently for American citizens to renounce their US citizenship. What is it for you that made you think, maybe this passport isn't for me?
Really? I spent a lot of time with my Jamaican grandparents growing up, and they came here and they worked hard to give me like some opportunity. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Some of the opportunities that they gave me, and the Hungarian side as well. They worked hard to give me those opportunities, and I really believe that it would be the ultimate, accomplishment of their goals if I no longer needed to be American. Like, that would be the ultimate. I am financially independent. I'm not worrying about a thing. If I give up that American passport, that means I am 100% financially secure, and I don't need big America to protect me anymore. I am not a sovereign citizen, but I have my complete sovereignty, financially and paperwork wise.
And do you not feel at home, because obviously I'm a dual citizen as well, we'll probably touch on that later in the video. I've actually spent a lot of time in America. I spent about 3 years there. And what I find is I don't really feel like I belong in any country, if you will. So what I'm curious to know is, how do you feel about like being an expat, going into that expat lifestyle, emigrating to a country where, maybe Jamaica, but perhaps to Hungary, if your citizenship is successful, a country you've never been before, a country where their language isn't native to your language. How do you feel about living that expat life in the future?
I guess back to my grandparents. I feel like if my grandparents could come to a country and do that for opportunity, there's no reason why I can't. And I just think I'm somebody who, I think I just have like a hunter spirit. I need adventure in my life, and to live in America from the time I was born to the time that I die just wouldn't be satisfying to like my spirit.
No, yeah, I agree. I completely agree, and I totally understand that perspective. That's exactly the same way of thinking that I'm going. I get bored of a country in about 3 years of living there, so I always want to bounce ASAP. But yeah, absolutely. And where, just out of curiosity, if you're looking to renounce your US citizenship, which if you're getting Hungarian citizenship might be beneficial, you wouldn't want that double burden on you. But where do you see the US going?
Me personally, I'm a little bit different than a lot of people who probably want to renounce. I think the United States is just poised to stay in its same position that it's been in. You hear noise about BRICS, and other alliances. I just don't think they're going to have like the economic backing. And like for BRICS, for example, I think it's like half of the world's population is like in BRICS, but GDP per capita is 7,000 per person. I just think, and then I think Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, like South Africa can't even keep the lights on. I don't see someone coming to replace the United States anytime soon. So I think the United States economically they'll get more debt burden. They'll get like people will have less freedoms. But I don't see any country anytime soon, not for a few decades, being able to usurp the American throne on the world stage.
Why do you think it is so popular nowadays for so many Americans? I'd imagine like you are sort of in this, business side of things. Why is it so popular for them, do you think, to think, okay, do you know what? Yes, I'm in the land of the free and all of that, but I want to renounce my past. But why do you think so many people opt to do it?
It just isn't a bargain. After you make a certain amount of money, I feel like America is the best place probably, maybe on the planet, for somebody to come from nothing and get to middle class and make something of themselves in their life. But I don't think it's the best place for people who already have the capital. If you're not working, the taxes are burdensome. The infrastructure isn't that great. There just aren't a lot of pluses for the tax bill that you get, especially if you're living like in a state like California. You're paying over half your income in taxes, which is, on par with some of the Nordic countries, but you just don't get the same benefits. I think it's a lot of why pay half of my income to the government, especially right now in the United States. There's a lot of socialism, communism gaining steam. Before they come at you with the pitchforks, a lot of people are just getting out of Dodge. And if you get $1 million in dividends, you can save a lot of money by not paying any taxes on that. It's just, is it worth paying a $400,000, $500,000 tax bill extra in taxes for the United States? Is that worth it to most people? Probably not.
I can understand that perspective and what you're saying about the growing sort of rhetoric that you're seeing. I think you're seeing it in a lot of places. But then again, this whole high tax ideology is straight from the books, if you will.
Yeah.
Because that's their ideology that they believe in. Obviously, if we want to live in the free world, we have to allow them to believe in that. But I don't agree with it at all. Mm-hmm. And you are seeing it. And as you mentioned, if California has a very high bracket, like at least in the Nordic countries, you look at Norway, non-EU, but Schengen area, Sweden and Finland, and perhaps even the Baltics as well. They've got free university, free healthcare. I mean, everyone knows American healthcare. University as well, 50,000 a year or a semester. That's like, to me, a huge red flag in general. So I think with the taxes part, if you're getting something out of it, what I always find weird is everyone goes like, you need to pay your tax. But then you look at a country like, or a state like California, or a country like America. I like America, by the way, but no free healthcare, no none of that. But then you look at a tax-free country like the United Arab Emirates, where citizens, at the very least, get free everything, even free property. So I find it a bit weird how a tax haven can manifest so well without the people's money, if you will.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that's where, if you're a regular everyday Joe Blow, you probably, between taking the kids to and from practice, et cetera, you don't have the time to think about these things. And then the tax bill isn't that onerous, but once you start getting 6-7-figure tax bills, you start to think like, hey, where is my money going? Could I do something better with a $500,000 $1 million extra in my pocket? I think a lot of people, the answer is yes, especially if you're somebody who can accumulate that kind of wealth. A lot of people, the answer is yes. And because there's people who are Americans making good money, and they'll move to like Israel, high tax burden, but they just feel like the money is worth it because they see where the money's going. They know where the money's going. In the United States, it's just like this abyss in Washington. You send the money to Washington, we really don't get to see anything in terms of the extra value.
And I think it's interesting when you look at the state of Israel because they make getting citizenship so easy. That's what I've noticed. Like with their aliyah and the law of return. It's actually, I think if they didn't have mandatory military service, I think everyone who would have the opportunity would definitely opt for it. Why not? It's pretty much a free passport, but I think a huge disincentive in regards to getting that citizenship would have to be the conscription. Because I mean, let's say you or I were handed that opportunity, right? Okay, maybe we'd be exempt because of our age or what have you, or because we're dual citizens or whatever. But our kids in the future probably wouldn't be exempt. And to me, that's also a huge deal breaker. I don't want my son and daughter serving a country which to me is a foreign country. I wouldn't want them serving my country either. I don't have one because I'm a dual citizen.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want them serving a foreign country either.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason why I actually looked into it, because my Hungarian ancestor is Jewish, but he's great grandparent. So I'm one generation removed from actually being able to do it. So I could have done it before I turned 18, but once I turned 18, I lost the eligibility. So I actually thought about doing it and joining the military, but it's just like, yeah, if you have a kid, like I would be cool doing it, but since I didn't join the military and fight in Israel or join their military or do whatever I would have to do, I would feel bad about, sending my son or my daughter into that, signing them up for that basically at birth. If they come to me and say they wanted to go to Israel, and let's say I was aliyah eligible, so hey, we can go. And they said, Dad, I don't care. I want to serve in the military. I just want to go be with my people. If they felt really connected to the Jewish people, I would do it. But I don't feel like sometimes I feel like I don't know if it's right for me to sign up my kid for that. Like I might have been okay with it, they are. And it's mandatory.
Yeah. No, yeah, I completely agree because it's different if if you want to do it, and it's different even if your kids come up to you when they're of age or whatever and they go, listen, I know what I'm getting myself into, but I want to do it anyway. That's fair, but it's unfair when they're just born with it, you know, like when they don't have a choice. Like that's always unfair. Or even then, even if they are born with it, that probably means they can't enter the country until they're in their late 20s, so that they can get the exemption part.
Yeah.
Or they threaten, like sanctions or fines or jail time. So I think, honestly, I think conscription in any country is a huge disincentive. This is why I'm not a fan of Estonian citizenship, although it doesn't allow dual nationality either, or Singapore. Everyone rates Singaporean citizenship. You have to renounce all your other passports, and if you don't, your kids who are going to be a Singaporean automatically will have to serve in their army. To me, that's a huge deal breaker.
Yeah, I definitely could see that being a deal breaker, especially if you didn't do it yourself. Yeah, and I think that's probably why Israel does it, to make sure people who like really identify being Jewish are the ones who are coming over.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And actually, one other thing, because I've never personally been. Have you been to Israel ever?
Yeah, I've been to Israel. I went last year, around this time, like Yom Kippur.
Mm-hmm. Good. Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah.
The weather was perfect. I had a good time. I was rolling BJJ, Muay Thai out there. I was having fun.
Yeah, yeah. I'd love to go. I've never been to that part of the world really. I've only been west. I've only like been in the Western Hemisphere and that, and obviously Europe and the mainland. But yeah, and honestly, like I think the weather's nice because what I always saw about Israel is Israel, and Cyprus, which Cyprus has got some benefits to it. They've got that constant year-long throughout, like what would it be in Fahrenheit? Like 80, 90 degree Fahrenheit weather all year round. I think California's got a bit of a similar thing. So, but obviously with Cyprus is an island, which I like island countries. I like living on islands. But yeah, absolutely. And actually, I know a few. I know I have a couple of friends who go to Israel quite a lot. And they do like it. They really like Tel Aviv, Yaffo, and all these big cities.
Yeah,
I think it's a very developed country in that regard. But I want to move on to Jamaica with you, Nick.
Okay.
When we talk about Jamaica, obviously Kingston and all of that, what would you say is your favorite thing about Jamaica being a citizen?
My favorite thing about being a Jamaican citizen is that I'll do two things. My personal favorite thing is that I just feel a lot more confident saying I'm Jamaican when I go out in public and things like that. Even though I grew up like Jamaican mom and all that stuff, when I say I am Jamaican, I feel like it's more true. So I like that a lot. But I'll probably say the biggest benefit is that CARICOM, that you can use passport to, if you're right now they're trying to do a more EU style like freedom of movement, but right now you have like freedom of movement, freedom of employment if you have a skills like a degree or you're an athlete or something. So with that, like I can go to Trinidad, I can go to all the full member CARICOM nations, and it just opens up opportunities like Guyana, they just discovered oil. If I wanted, I have a chemistry degree. I have now I have the option to go work in a booming industry if I wanted to. I really like the fact that it just opens up so much more of the Caribbean for me.
Yeah, the Caribbean is genuinely one of the regions in the world that I'd love to hit one day and probably get a passport. However, obviously investment is quite a famous route to get in there. I'm not not too sure, but I'd love to hit the Caribbean region. Jamaica, I don't know much about, but I've honestly looked a lot at Saint Lucia, Trinidad. Not really Guyana because I don't want to drink the Kool-Aid, if you get what I mean. And
Yeah.
yeah, but honestly, yeah, the Caribbean, and I think people have a bit of a misconception with the Caribbean. I put this on Twitter the other day. Basically, a lot of people, sadly, in the West, and when I say the West, I don't mean like geographically, I mean like politically aligned. They always say, "Oh yeah, Africa's not a developed continent. It's not as developed as Europe or North America." Fair enough, but or like East Asia is not as developed. These people haven't seen what the capital of Mongolia, Ethiopia, what port of Spain looks like, what Santo Domingo look like, San
Right.
Jose, all these places. And I think they are even if they're not, shall we say, in the Western definition, developed. I think they are certainly developing very quickly. I think it's really exciting. I saw that there's a huge entrepreneurial incentive to move your business over to Jamaica. I've seen a lot of British citizens do that. So never know. Maybe one day in the future, I'll be proud to say that I'm a Jamaican citizen or something. But
If you're going
mostly the Caribbean is.
go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say you should hop on the bandwagon now. They're projected to make an announcement about oil at the end of the year, 2.4 billion barrels. So it takes about 4 or 5 years for them to usually start producing oil. So I would hop on the bandwagon now before the real estate prices start going up.
or I mean, this is dark, but if a new country's found oil, that usually means that it's just a matter of time before the US needs to liberate them from an evil regime. So
Democracy.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, maybe I do need to go on it quite quickly then in that regard before they're liberated or what have you. Honestly, the Caribbean, I'd love to hit. Out of curiosity, what are your thoughts on obviously living as an expat? Have you ever thought of looking at Asia? Obviously, there aren't many citizenship opportunities there. Brunei, Singapore, all these countries, great passports. But have you ever thought about living in there as an expat?
No, I actually have not thought about living there. To me, Asia is I guess the languages. Because when I want to go someplace, I want to go to South America. I travel there a lot. I like to be able to speak the local language to some extent, and the languages, the Asian languages just don't click. Like I guess the East Asian languages don't click for me.
And how do you find learning Hungarian then? Because that's quite famously a Uralic language.
Yeah, the Hungarian it's difficult because it doesn't follow the same process. It's a lot different than the Latin languages where like Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French, they all follow a similar structure. The Hungarian language is so difficult because it doesn't follow that, but it still uses the Latin alphabet. So like you're looking for those letters to say what they say in like Spanish or say what they say in English, but they just don't. And I think I don't know. I'm not somebody who studies like the history of languages. To me, learning the language sounds almost like, because I know a little bit of the difference between like biblical Hebrew and modern Hebrew. To me, it sounds like the language, probably because not that many people are Hungarian. The language sounds like old. Like the
Yeah, it
words.
is. It's old.
Yeah, the words are large. Because I guess like English, it seems like we've condensed a lot of the words over time as more and more people speak the language. Not everyone is an adept speaker, so like we kind of like dumb down the language a little bit. But when I listen to Hungarian, like Viszont Látásra, very long word to say goodbye. Versus like
yeah.
And you could see, I guess you can kind of see like them adopting, is it, social media, etc. I guess like now they say cia, which is like a way to say goodbye a lot shorter. So I think because it's been like an isolated language, it's kept a lot of its roots, and the words are very big, long, sometimes difficult to pronounce, but it's a good challenge.
Yeah, and what I've noticed is actually because obviously it's one of three languages in Europe that are in the Ural language family. Obviously, Hungarian, Finnish, and Estonian. Finnish and Hungarian, I can vouch for. I don't know Estonian at all. Finnish and Hungarian are very similar logically. So in Finnish, if you want to say he is or she is, it's just hanon, and in Hungarian, it's actually even more simple. It's just but like there's no gender divide, if you will. It's a gender neutral language, as is Estonian. Out of curiosity, how much Hungarian do you know? Can you speak on a conversational level? Can you just do the basics?
I'm currently, you need to be B2 to take the test. I'm currently in between. I'm like A2, far from B1. So I know basic phrases I can understand, but for me to have a conversation in Hungarian outside of like, hey, what's your name? How are you? Like, I'm not there yet. Like, I can't, give my ideas on the Iliad in Hungarian just yet.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. But you probably could do it on the Odyssey. So, I'm going to give you some credit on that one, Nick. You could do it on the Odyssey, but not the Iliad. Fair enough. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I literally have a copy of the Iliad on my desk.
Yeah, I think when I moved to Hungarian, once I become a Hungarian citizen, knock on wood, process goes well. I think I'm gonna change my name to Miklos.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
yep.
I think I'm gonna pick on the Hungarian spelling of my Hungarian passport because my family, they're from Baju Hidar. I don't know if I might be butchering it.
I'm not familiar with that region, to be honest. I only know the west, the northwest, the north central, and the northeast. So that's about it. Pretty much the Slovakian border is what I'm familiar with.
Okay. And my family, they're from like the Romanian border, that part.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
But it's crazy. It's a good language. I will say I was very happy to find that you're looking to get. I don't see many Americans or Jamaicans at all looking to get that citizenship. So you are certainly a unique one out of all the Americans or Jamaicans who are looking to get EU citizenship. Mainly they go for Malta, Portugal, Ireland. But no, you're going for the big boss. You're going for Hungary. You're going for the difficult language. So credit to you on that one. Credit to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you this: where do you see your passport portfolio growing?
That's a great question, my friend. So obviously I've got British as well. I think my American PR has long expired, to be honest. I'm not seeking anything American, so I don't care about my American PR anymore. I think Argentina is very cool because it's only 2-year residency. I think that's a huge incentive. I was having a conversation with one of my British friends who's living in the Netherlands, and he's trying to get Argentinian citizenship by doing a 2-year residency. I think that's huge. I think that's a really good incentive. If I could move out there for 2-3 years, I'd definitely go for it.
That would be really cool because they're talking about dollarizing the country. So you can get in there while the economy stabilizes. That'd be good. You want to do some investing too.
Absolutely. I feel like it's quite a good country to be in because I like the idea of having like a citizenship in this side in this part of the world. Like I'm not a big fan of the road that Australia and New Zealand went down, but I think having a New Zealand passport would still be quite beneficial because you've got open access to that part of the world, and I don't think they're really bureaucratic. Like, I don't think they're as bureaucratic as the American government might be, which is fine, if you've got nothing to hide, then there's an argument there. But I don't want to have to tell everyone everything all the time because it's my life,
Correct.
Yeah.
I feel like you had a time.
Pardon?
I feel like you were going to say another passport after Argentina.
Argentina, New Zealand, maybe a Pacific island country no one's ever heard of, like Nauru, Palau, or Tuvalu, or something like that. But I don't know. Maybe those any that recognise dual nationality and don't have mandatory military service, I'm up for. So.
Okay. Cool. Como se was there? They say in Argentina. Okay. So I guess for me, I guess I'll just answer back to what you said. I would love to get my Hungarian one. I'm in the process. I'm in too deep at this point. So I would have Hungarian, Jamaican, and I like what you said about having a passport on the other side of the world. So that's what the Hungarian does for me. I would love to get one and my Israeli passport, just to get in touch with my roots. My family technically moved over here from when after World War One, Hungary became that part of Hungary became Romania. So they moved. They were actually living in like Romania. So I would love to get Romanian too. And then I am also of African descent. So I'm actually one of the things that I was doing. One of my YouTube videos, I brought on a speaker. His name's Dr. Umar. He is he's a clinical psychologist. He was trying to start up a school. He is very much on the. He's a Pan-Africanist. So he thinks like Black people all around the world together. I brought him on my YouTube channel. So because I was trying to raise awareness, because we're trying to get people of African descent citizenship in African countries. They have Ancestry 23andMe. There's another test called African Ancestry that looks at your Y and X chromosomes. So I brought in, because your X and Y chromosomes, nerdy stuff, don't recombine when you have a baby. So like your Y chromosome from your dad is the same one, more or less, that, like 1,000 years ago that your great times 1,000 granddad had. Same for the mom. So like they look at your X and Y chromosomes so they can show a direct matrilineal or patrilineal lineage back to Africa. So we were trying to get more countries to open up. Right now, only Sierra Leone does it. If you take the African ancestry test and you have a Y chromosome or X chromosome that matches people in Sierra Leone, you can get citizenship in the country. Mine are Nigeria and Cameroon. So I was trying to get Cameroon to open up dual citizenship so that like people who take the test and are of African descent want to reconnect with the continent could do it. But a lot of the African countries don't allow dual citizenship.
No, they don't. And actually, one of the major down points, because when you asked me the question, I did think, okay, obviously I don't have any African roots, of course, but I'm sure with an investment or residency it'll be possible. But I don't see a huge incentive to get African citizenship unless it's what you said, where you want to connect back with where you potentially came from, because the passport's weak. It's unfortunate, but it's relatively well known that if your country is not going to have a coup, your neighboring country is probably going to have one. So it's not very, so I feel like it's a bit risky. I think the strongest passport in Africa would be the islands, like Mauritius, Comoros, these ones.
Yeah, so it's not a strong travel document, but I'll probably get those, and then oh man, if I could just have my pick of citizenships, Colombia would be nice. New Zealand would be nice. Japan doesn't allow dual.
No.
I'm trying to think of one, because I played around on the passport index to see like how I can get access to most of the world, not to travel all these places, but it would be just nice to have nationality. And I think the one with the mix that I think I can actually get, if I add to the mix, I think it's Sudan. I think with Sudan I can get to like 96 or 97%. So it's Sudan, I think.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, with Sudan you probably would be able to, but the problem is that there's always going to be a couple of countries that don't give visa-free access to any nationality. You look at Turkmenistan. There's only the Turkmen passport is going to get you into that country, and you can't get it because that country is not an expat hub, shall we say? Nor is Bhutan. Bhutan doesn't allow. Although I think being Bhutanese would probably be amazing. Being able to speak Jonga, live that Bhutanese lifestyle very similar to Tibetan. I love Bhutan. I'd love to visit there one day. Not too keen on paying that tourist tax, so gonna have to get a citizenship first somehow. But Bhutan, I think, is great. It's a shame that Bhutan and Mongolia don't allow dual nationality, because I looked at both seriously, thinking, okay, what's the residence? Because I'm willing to risk 5 years of residence for it, but no, it's like 10, 15 years. You have to renounce, so it's just a mess. I'm not doing it.
So when you're doing your passport portfolio, you're building it out. You got 2 at the moment. Are you looking solely for privileges, or are you looking to have economic benefit as well?
Travel. I think it's a mix of travel, economic. I think in the online space, I don't think the economic thing would really concern me, because I could, like, let's say I'm earning money online, doesn't matter unless I'm in a sanctioned country. If I'm earning money online, first of all, why would I go to a sanctioned country? But second of all, if I'm earning money online, location's irrelevant as long as I've got an internet connection.
Correct.
And so I think it probably would be travel. It would probably also be the access it gives to my children. I was having weirdly, when I was in school, I was the only one that ever talked about this passionately. And one of my teachers asked me, like, oh, but why do you want Argentina? It's quite an alien concept here to go to the other side of the world simply for citizenship and that, also for some other things, like to give back to the country and everything. But I said, it's not really for me. It's mainly for my kids, because I want to, like, obviously I'll have the opportunities as well to live in Argentina, but I really like the idea of giving my kids, because I have an advantage, as you do, being a dual citizen. But I think I'm willing to work for triple, quadruple, 5, 6, 7, what have you, so that my kids can automatically get that 7 passports, if you will, and then they've got the whole world to choose from. So I think that's a huge thing for me.
I really respect that so much. I really respect that so much. That's amazing. Because I kind of think the same thing. It's like, of course, I want to get in touch with my roots. That's number one, most important. But also, like, if I can get citizenship in Colombia, which I'm looking into, because I think I might be able to do it in 2 years. So I'm looking at that. I love Colombia too, but it's just like what you're saying is so powerful, because it's like all the opportunities that we had growing up, you multiply that by all the future opportunities, that they're not limited by just where they were born. You could go as many places, almost the whole world is your oyster. And that's really what a parent should provide their child. I think money, love, and the ability to, to prosper. And if you have the whole world available to you, I think I think your kids are really going to be lucky. They're right. They're not here yet, right?
No, not yet.
God, that's cool. I think your kids are going to be lucky. I really like that idea.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure you've got the similar ways as well, and I know I just think it's absolutely that, because obviously I'm not going to get into what I think of it. I understand both arguments, but I don't think the UK leaving economic Europe, if you will, was a benefit for the passport. That's the thing I always talk about. It made the passport. It's still a strong passport, yes, but it made the passport weaker in terms of the amount of country access you have access to, and so many of my friends who, obviously the most popular road for British citizens to take if they want to regain access to Europe is most of them to go, okay, my grandma was Irish, 2-year application, it's done, no residence. But so many of my friends can't do that. And I think it's disadvantageous, because although they can move to Ireland, fine, do 5 years residency, get it done that way, it's still a bit of a disadvantage. It's 5 years of their life that they have to give up, and then they've only got 2 passports, whereas some people are born with 3, 4, 5. I don't want to put my future kids in the position of, okay, I really want to let's say live in Costa Rica. I have to do the bureaucracy. What if my visa gets denied? I like the idea of them going, oh, so I can just move here. Yeah, you can. I don't want them to stress about visa denials, potentially being deported, all of that stuff. I just want to give them the access.
I love that, man. That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. Man, I love to hear that, man, because a lot of people aren't thinking like that.
Well, to be honest, I don't mind because that means it'll probably be easier for me to achieve, and that's fine by me. So I don't mind that.
Yeah, they won't put any roadblocks up if it's only you and I doing it, right?
Yeah, I think just you and me and a couple of the dudes I have on Skype, but I think it's about 5 people, Nick, to be honest. So I wouldn't worry about competition if that's what you're worrying about, because it's you, it's me, it's a guy in America, a guy in the Netherlands, and I think another dude I know's looking into it. He's at very much so the starting point where he's like, oh, I could do this, I can do that, and I'm like, yeah, you can. So, but yeah, honestly, to be honest, I don't mind that the citizenship space isn't talked about often. So if I think it was, I think the whole world would fall because everyone would want to do it.
Yeah, once you understand the benefits, it just makes sense to do it, especially at the cost. I mean, I got Hungarian lessons, but like to do my Jamaican citizenship was only like $100.
Yeah.
For everything that it gets you, $100 is, you might as well call that free.
Absolutely, and there are people because the Caribbean doesn't have a 5-year residence and then citizenship. Like I can't speak for Jamaica, but I think St. Kitts and Nevis, obviously you can do the 150,000 route, but if you can't afford that, it's 15 years residence in the country. That's extreme.
Yeah. I think only like 150,000 people actually like live on the island. It's a small number.
Yeah.
You would invest in yourself because you don't know if you're gonna like it. That's the thing. Make a 15-year commitment.
Exactly.
And anything can happen in those 15 years. That's insane. But of course, they want people to pay the 150,000.
Yeah.
That's what that is about. So let me ask you this: do you get any do you come against any friction when you're telling friends, family, like, hey, I think you might be eligible for X passport? Do you get any friction when you're telling people that, or when you talk to people, are they receptive to the idea and just go out and do it?
One of my friends was very much so, but he was a couple years late. So it's a similar thing to what you had with. I apologize. I forget one of your. The Israeli, where because you turned 18, it expired, if you will. He had the exact same issue with another country. It wasn't Israel. It was a European country. He had the exact same issue. So that was a bit of a nightmare because basically I was telling him, get it. Tell your dad to get it, whatever. But he didn't do it in time. But there's still options for him. It's not the end of the world. You can still move to Ireland or something and do 5 years residence. Worst case scenario. But that I don't get much. The people who I really tell either they don't care, which is fine because they shouldn't have to. I'm not trying to force it down anyone. If they want to learn more, they can obviously subscribe to my channel. That'd be beneficial. But otherwise, the one thing that I've never had anyone start on me, if you will, because of citizenship.
I can say that. Me being African American, a lot of people don't think I can speak some of the languages that I can speak. So it's interesting, like Portuguese, or Spanish. Spanish not so much, but Portuguese, like I hear people saying Portuguese, I understand that. Hebrew is one that kind of hits people over the head. Like they will say something in Hebrew, and I'll say something back to them. They're like, "What the freak?" Like, I know that lady. It should be nicer.
Well, yeah, true. That's a fair point. That's what I always get told. When that's what I was always told when I was at airports is be careful what you say because an airport is an international hub. You never know who's gonna understand you. But honestly, and actually, I want to get onto that learning Hebrew because Hebrew, I think, is like obviously Hungarian is going to be difficult, but Hebrew is like it's for us. It's written backwards. It's a whole different scripture. It's unrecognizable. Everything.
Yeah.
How do you find learning Hebrew?
Hebrew is probably so Hebrew is not as bad as it. The hard part about Hebrew isn't the letters. Because once you learn the letters, you got it. The hard part about Hebrew is that if it's not in the Torah or it's not like a kid's book, that there's no vowels. You just got to kind of remember what the word.
Okay.
Yeah, so like that's the hardest part. So it's like the shalom, or word everybody knows, is going to be like the letter for S, H, the letter for L, and the letter for M. There's not going to be the A. You're not going to see the A written or the O written unless it's like a or something. So that's hard because some words are the same. You just got to kind of know by the context of the sentence, which is difficult. It's very difficult. And then like of course like American Jews who born and raised in America speak different Hebrew than like Israeli Jews. So that makes that makes it hard when you go to Israel. And you're like, oh man, I was barely keeping up. I don't know what you're saying, bro. Yeah. But luckily, most people are like speak English or Spanish. But like Hebrew is hard, because they don't write the vowels, and that's hard. That's probably harder than that part of Hebrew is probably harder than Hungarian because Hebrew's you got to just memorize it. Once you suck it up and like I'm just have to memorize it, it becomes a lot easier to digest.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, Hebrew, I don't know much about Hebrew. I've never really studied languages from that region. To me, Hebrew sounds very painful on the throat because obviously of the ch sound. And to me, Hebrew and Georgian from the Caucasus, they sound so similar because they've both got that ch sound. I'm like, what? Yeah.
I'm gonna have to listen to some. I've only met like one person from Georgia in my life. So I'm gonna have to go listen to some people speak Georgian. I'm gonna have to listen to people speak Georgian. Yeah, that's interesting. It's not modern Hebrew doesn't have that a lot of like as much. That's how they could tell like if you just started learning Hebrew, if you got a real heavy now it's just more like of a k sound because I guess people do that. The languages adapt, evolve. It's fun. Arabic's fun. I was playing around with that. Arabia. I like that sound because it's not a sound we make in English. I don't know how you would describe like that back of the throat sound. It's pretty cool. So let me ask you this. Do your passports, and I don't want to direct the interview, so you could cut me off. Like, do your passports change like how you make decisions?
I can just live here. I don't feel like I belong here. I feel like a bit of a alien, if you will. Like I'm like, what? So while everyone's here worrying about visas, I can just come here and I don't need to apply for anything. I feel like I'm just someone who got handed an opportunity to experience all three cultures. And I feel like I'm a mix. I've got a very mix of all three cultures, I think. So that's it. I've certainly got the American mind, I think. I think I don't want to toot my own trumpet too much, but I think Americans in general are a lot more confident than people in Europe. And I'm very fortunate to have, shall we say, learned that from the American people. It's what I have huge respect for the country for, because honestly, Americans are some of the most confident people I've ever met. And it's something that I think everyone who is looking to live the best life that they can possibly live should definitely learn from if they perhaps aren't the most secure person in the world, because America will teach you. America, to me, and you might disagree with this, but to me, America is very much so okay, I have an idea. I tell someone, they might be like, oh, I know someone in that industry. Here's his business card. Maybe you could speak to him. Here it's very much, yeah, okay, starting this business sounds cool, but what if you did what everyone else does? So that's a bit strange to me.
Interesting. That's cool. I definitely think like in America that we do have that entrepreneurial spirit. It's definitely, I guess, like you are pushed to be confident. Like the person that we see on TV growing up, that's supposed to be the cool person, is the outgoing person. There are I can see that. I can see that. That's really cool. I never heard that perspective, but that's really cool. Be a little brash, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely, you only live once, so why worry?
Exactly. You only live once. Might as well enjoy it. And you might as well do what you, as long as you're not hurting anybody, do what you know makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. This is one of the main debates I have because I had a debate. So when you look at this, and I'm not saying I'm in the space or anything. I wouldn't say I'm like a citizenship YouTuber or whatever. But
Mm.
the unfortunate thing that I see is a lot of this whole getting second passport stuff and all of this. And obviously, I'm one of those people that don't like either sides of the coin. I like to be like a Switzerland. I like to be neutral. But the problem with this whole citizenship space, which I'm not really a fan of, is the amount of dangerous red pill stuff that bleeds into it. So a lot of like a guy who I was speaking to over DMs. I've never called him, but he messaged me. He messaged me some like valuable stuff. So I always thank him for that and everything. But it gets a bit dangerous because they start building this rhetoric of, yeah, the West is this and that, and while they're right in one regard, but they take it too far, and that's what I don't like. It's because citizenship shouldn't be political. It shouldn't be a political divide. It should be you, your spouse, and your family making the best possible life that you can for one another. It shouldn't be, oh, I'm a conservative, so I'm gonna buy this passport and I'm gonna bounce, or I'm a liberal or whatever, and I'm gonna get this passport. It should just be, I'm gonna get this passport. You're gonna get that one. I hope you live well in like Eritrea or wherever. I hope I live well in the Congo. Good luck to both of us. That's what I think it should be. I don't like this. I don't like this political divide at all that it can create. That's not what I'm a fan of at all. I don't know what you think about it, but
No, I definitely agree. Because some of the things like because I'll be talking to somebody and we'll be having a conversation like you and I are having, and then politics will get brought up into it. And I just, that's, to me, that's not what it is. This is a travel document that, for me, the citizenships that I'm pursuing, minus Colombia, are connecting me to my roots. And it's a travel document, and I'm doing what I think is best for my family. And I agree with you what you're saying there. And then for me, because like I got a hotel in Colombia that I'm a part owner of, I go to Colombia a lot. I get the red pill creeps wanting to talk to me
yeah,
sometimes about creepy dude, I want to go. I enjoy Colombia. I love trying out my Spanish. They all like the people in Medellin. They speak a very, it's a easier to understand Spanish versus like a Dominican Spanish. They speak a clean Spanish, not to know, insult anybody else, but for somebody who's learning, it's easy to pick up. They speak at a good speed, so that's part of the reason why I like going. The food is nice, the culture is nice, the people are is nice, the prices for entertainment, like in terms of like going out, excursions, are a nice price. Like I feel like it's, you get a lot of value in Colombia. The people are nice. I've had a good time, and it's a really good place to try your Spanish out. But you start getting the people who want to talk about like going down there to meet girls, and it's like, dude, I don't want to travel for that. If that's what you do, I'm not knocking the girls who do it or the guys who buy it, but like, I'm not planning a trip to Colombia to it you know hire women, so to speak, and you'll get a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
that. And I'm like, dude, why are you so comfortable talking to me about it? More power
No,
to you to do that, but like it makes me, I don't like it because like it cheapens at Colombia to a lot of people. People think you're going down there to do that sometimes. And then also the Pablo people, that's not really red pill, but like the red pill, like, oh, I want to get a girl who's gonna be obedient to me. People like, cool, that's why you want to go to Colombia, that's cool. But like that's not my thing. I just enjoyed the country, I enjoyed the vibes. And so I see what you're saying. I get it from the red pill people from a little different angle a lot of the time though.
yeah, I agree. I haven't been inundated with it, thankfully, but I have had a few people message me because on Instagram you get a message request, like I'm sure you know, and
Mm,
I don't get notified about it. So I only see it when I'm on my messages to people I actually talk to, and I say, okay, it's bracket 1 or 2. So I check what they're messaging, and sometimes they have a question or they're just sending me an article, or whatever, which I always thank them for and everything. But every now and then I get someone messaging me going, "Oh yeah, like fine, passport bros, whatever." I don't think that's how love works. Where like
yeah.
obviously you look at mutiny on the bounty. Look, I believe in a free. I believe we should all live in a free society. If you want to do that, I'm not going to stop you. I believe in the free world, but I don't like it when people start trying to get, like, I don't know if this is their intention, but as an immigrant, I'm very naturally paranoid. I'm very much a skeptical person. And I always feel like when they're talking to me, or when they say anything about women or people of a different culture, they're always trying to get like a clip, like a snippet, if you will. And I did a video on this recently. I don't know if you've seen the film. It's a film called American History X. It's one of my favorite films of all time because it shows you the dangers of, what do you say, echo chambers?
Okay. American History
Yeah.
X. I've never seen it, but I'll check it out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's a really violent film. So if you're not really into violent stuff, then I wouldn't really recommend, because it is intense. But if you don't mind it, then it's a very good warning, I think, for modern young people, because it shows how they can be, for lack of a better term, groomed into choosing a side when they screw their whole family over, when they think, okay, I need to hate this group because they're hating me. But to me, it's always that, you know, when Rome was falling, and I know it's just a meme where every dude thinks of Rome, but when Rome was falling, they made these divisions exactly. And I'm not a fan of being divided with anyone. I don't like, I like Cyprus, but I don't like being divided, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really sad when this whole citizenship space gets to that point. Because if people want to talk, if people want to make YouTube channels about, okay, which country has the hottest women, I'm not going to be one of those soy people that's going to come after them. But then again, I don't want people messaging me that.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, do you? It's cool. I'm not judging, but it's just not for me. And like, I guess probably like I'm not an immigrant, but my family's immigrants, so I'm sensitive to how people, you know, kind of commoditize immigrants. You know, being Jamaican, people just think you smoke weed all day sometimes. So like, so when people like kind of treat people of another culture as almost like oh, they're just hot Colombian chicks. No, that's a person with a family and dreams, goals, aspirations. They're not just sitting around waiting for you. You're not Prince Charming, bro. Like, it's just, I agree with you so much on that. It's like, and I don't want the politics to come into, like, I guess, our space, like, because that's not why we're in it. We're in it for more opportunity for our family. We're in it for the love of the travel, and I think we're in it partially because, like, you know, we have, like, you personally, and I have like the family history of people just moving around. It's just it's in our blood.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you on that. Yeah. No, I completely agree, because I think being nomadic, and obviously I'm not this nomad like someone fresh out of the Gobi Desert in Mongolia where they have the tent and they go around. I'm not like one of those nomads, if you will, but I do get, like I said at the start, I do get bored of a country in about 3 years, which is a bit of a shame since most of them have 5-year residency requirements. But no, I get bored of it. And honestly, what I always find weird is, and I had this going around Europe, is when you're driving across like the huge European roads, there's no borders. You're in Germany 1 hour, you're in Belgium the next hour, all of that good stuff. You realize that, okay, these are just people with lives, like them driving cars. They've probably grown up in their own Belgian or German or Austrian or Swiss environments. And in that case, even when I went across the countries to even the country where I'm a citizen or a resident of, I feel like a immigrant in all of them, because I've been to so many. I don't feel like I belong in either one. I don't feel British. I think most people probably classify me as British. Well, it depends who you ask. You might get some racist nationalist who would say, "Oh no, he's never British in my eyes," or whatever. But yeah, honestly, I think it's such a shame when people get to this whole divide thing, or when they start messaging absolute asinine stuff. Or I've had some people send me like these passport bro, what's that platform, Chan something Chan, yeah, and I don't go on it, and it's just asinine stuff, and I'm just like, okay, tell me how many countries I as a Bruneian citizen can go to visa free. Tell me that. Don't tell me who you hate. That's not what I'm interested in.
Yeah, and because I don't think people, I don't think they're getting the DMs and messages and comments that we're getting. They could get kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could get kind of off-putting. So, and we're running low on the time. But I want to ask you, because I'm enjoying this conversation, I wanted to ask you a question to make sure we have enough time for you to give an answer. I give you
sure.
one, you could travel to one place for as long as you want to stay there. Magic Wand is free, doesn't cost anything. You can stay best hotel, best hostel, cheapest place, whatever you want to do. Where's the place that you haven't been to? If I give you that magic wand that you're taking yourself to?
It would probably be one of no, I think I have an answer. It's a very close call between two places, but I think one is probably more exciting than the other. So I'll give you the two, and then I'll tell you which one I went with. So it would either be, there's a really small island in the South Pacific called Pitcairn's Island, and it's got a great history with basically in the 1700s, these sailors did a mutiny against their captain because they fell in love with the Tahitian women. And they basically threw the captain overboard so they could go back to Tahiti and live happy lives. They're what I like to call the first passport bros of this world. And and basically, because they knew they'd be arrested on Tahiti, they got the women and they raised families and everything, and they moved to this remote, isolated island called Pitcairn's Island. And the descendants of those pirates still live there to this day.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. However, the one flaw I have with it is, if we're talking about an isolated place, it's probably one of the most isolated places in the world. And if I need to bounce from there, there's no chance of me doing that quickly. So it would have to be, the final answer would have to be Bataan. I'd love to go to Bataan.
Okay. That's cool. That's really cool. Bataan. And then give me the name of the place before Bataan again.
Pitcairn's Island.
Pitcairn's Island. I'll write that down.
Yeah, with a P, like Peter.
Like, okay, Pitcairn's. Okay. Learn something new every day, man.
Yeah. And which ones would yours be?
Oh, man. Probably for similar scenario, like it's just too dangerous right now. Like I would love to go to Haiti and go to like Port-au-Prince. So like the magic wand, I would get to go there and just see, and then just hurry up and come back if things get sticky. I would love to go there and see it just because of like the history of this small island was able to repel colonial power of France. I would love to see what it looks like with my own two eyes. But right now the political climate's a little too sketchy for me to go myself. So Haiti. And then the second one. So the one I would go to is probably, it's a little boring, but Vienna. I've never been to Austria. I would love to see, since I've been learning so much about like Hungary, and I'm going to go there and experience. I would love to go to Vienna and get to see some of like, where they mint the gold. There's just such a history of wealth in the country. I would be interested in seeing like what is the difference really between like old world finance and like new world finance. That would be very interesting to me. I nerd out on some of like the financial history stuff. I would love to go there and just absorb that aspect of the culture. And the magic wand would like get me to the people who know about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. What about this is going a little bit out of the realms of possibility, but you never know. I'm going to be an optimistic on this one.
Yeah.
What about, obviously, we've established the country just for the time we have left. What about a time period?
Oh,
like if you could.
Now we're talking a good time. Okay. I would love any time period. I would love to go back to like the time of Moses, like when Israel like first got founded, because they're speaking Hebrew, and I want to know if this is actually what they were saying back then.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
It would probably be, it's going to be a completely different place. It would actually be recently. I'd probably go back like 10, 15, 20 years to an island in the Indian Ocean west of the Bay of Bengal called North Sentinel Island, because an isolated hostile tribe lived there. But I'm thinking, look, if I'm a time traveler with the magic wand, they're probably not going to kill me. Like they've killed everyone else who's stepped foot on the island. But if we're in this magical world, I'm going to be fine. Yeah. And because no one knows how they live. No one knows how they live. So
Yes.
I'd be really interested to see what their lifestyle is like. So that one is a bit of a more optimistic one, but the darker one, it would have to be Guyana, Jonestown. I'm so fascinated with the Jonestown tragedy. It's one of the worst things I think post World War II that's ever happened, and I think the whole psyop is really interesting to study. So I'd love to like see exactly what happened there. Was he always crazy? Did he go crazy? I'm really interested in that.
Interesting. Yeah. For me, I think it would be Israel, because supposedly, if Moses were to come to Tel Aviv today, he would see the same mezuzah, the same. Everything is supposed to be the same from how they were doing it in the biblical times, and the Hebrew's supposed to be the same. We keep Shabbat the same. So I just want to know how close is it, because they revived the Hebrew language, so to speak. I just want to know how close did we get it, and that's probably like the only chance I have of actually understanding people post pre 1940. I mean, not 1940, 1490. Because I think the language just started to get a little wonky before Shakespeare's time. So I can actually, if I actually speak Hebrew, I can actually talk to them. So that'd be cool.
No, yeah, I agree. I think it will be. Who knows? Maybe with this time travel thing, you might even make it in some of the old text as like the guy
cool.
who. Yeah, you'd end up being on one of those weird forums where they talk about all this time traveler turned up with a fake passport and then he disappeared forever. You'd be one of those people. That's a great legacy, Nick. To be fair, so you'd have to give credit for that one. Or to be honest, I'd just love to. I think this is like obviously you're going mainly for the history. I just love to find out a bunch of unsolved stuff, like how do they live on North Sentinel? What went down in Jonestown? We know because they recorded it on tape, but I want to know exactly what happened. I want to see the whole process. I want to know some other mysteries, like DB Cooper is a big one for me. Stuff like that. So that really, and any like pretty much stuff like that. I just like to. I'd always like to have a improved understanding of the world. I feel like if I can solve a few mysteries along the way, like with me, Scooby Doo looking ass, then I can. Certainly have a good legacy and a good life. So that would be it for me.
Yeah, that'd be cool. If I'm solving a mystery, I'll probably go to Roswell. Well, I think it was 1942 when those UFOs are supposedly crashed.
Yeah. Although you'd have to bounce from there pretty quick because you wouldn't want to end up committing suicide, would you?
Yeah. That'd be cool. Cool.
Yeah, agreed. It would be good. Or honestly, outer space. I wonder if in our lifetime we'll ever see intergalactical passports. Like, I have a Martian passport. It's like, yeah, congratulations, man.
Oh, your Martian passport's expired. You got to turn back around and go home.
Now that would be ultimate diversification. Like everyone's talking about, I'm diversified because I've got a Latin American residency or what have you. But this dude's a citizen of another planet, so that's ultimate diversification right there. Credit to it. And there you have it. That was over hour-long conversation. Hopefully, it depends how much I cut. Hopefully, not too much because I do believe in free speech. But that was an hour-long conversation with Nick. I will have his YouTube channel linked down below in the description if you want to find out more of his stuff, if you want to find out more about banking, Israel, the Hebrew language, and Hungarian culture. I have his channel linked down below in the description. Nick, thank you so much for joining me on this episode today. It was really good talking to you. I'd love to have you back on anytime. Just either I'll let you know or you let me know whenever any time is good. And thank you for joining me today.
Oh, no, thank you. Looking forward to it. And I really appreciate it. Just let me know when you drop the video so I can share it as well. And like you said, my channel is Millennial Thinktank. I talk about passports. I do some real estate stuff too. And I really thank you for having me on the channel. I had a great time and a great conversation. I wish I could stay for longer. So just let me know when you're ready to do part 2.